Welcome to Broken Vows Chronicles. Here, betrayal meets justice, and every story ends with a twist you never saw coming. Tonight's story is one of love, lies, and the kind of revenge that only karma can deliver. Sit back and prepare yourself for the journey.
From the outside, their life looked picture perfect. Daniel Whitmore was the kind of man people envied. Tall, broad-shouldered, with a smile that could charm a room. He was the executive vice president of a successful real estate firm in Atlanta. He wore custom suits, drove a black Mercedes, and commanded attention wherever he went. His wife, Evelyn, was equally striking, elegant, poised, with an artistic touch that made every room she entered feel alive. Together they were the Whitmores, the couple everyone else silently compared themselves to. But what no one could see was the growing fracture beneath the glossy surface. It started small. Late nights at the office, missed family dinners. The shift was subtle, almost unnoticeable. Evelyn told herself it was just stress, deadlines, the pressure of the corporate ladder. But deep down, unease had already begun to stir. That unease turned into suspicion. The evening she found a receipt in Daniel's jacket pocket. An expensive dinner for two, dated the same night he had claimed to be at a board meeting. Her heart clenched, her breath caught. Surely it was business, it had to be. And yet, why did the receipt feel like evidence? Discovery. One evening, the truth revealed itself. Daniel's phone buzzed on the kitchen counter. For once, he had forgotten it downstairs. The screen lit up with a name she didn't recognize. Vanessa. Her pulse quickened. She shouldn't look, she knew that, but suspicion had already become fear. With trembling fingers, she opened the phone. The messages were there, dozens of them, some innocent enough. Can't. Wait to see you tonight. Others, far less so. Last night was incredible. I can still feel your hands on me. Evelyn's vision blurred with tears. Her stomach churned. It was undeniable. The man she had built a life with had been living a double life. That night she didn't confront him. She couldn't. She lay awake, eyes wide, listening to the rhythm of his breathing. And as she stared into the dark, her grief transformed into fury. Betrayal, she realized, was only the beginning. I may see this because in her world, karma had a way of collecting its debts. The next morning, Evelyn rose early. She moved through the house in silence, her mind still replaying every message she had read the night before. Her hands gripped the edge of the sink as she stared into the mirror. She didn't recognize the woman staring back at her. She wasn't just a wife anymore. She was a woman betrayed. And something inside her had shifted. She watched Daniel carefully over the following days. His excuses, his late nights, his absent-minded smiles. They all lined up now like pieces of a puzzle she wished she never had to solve. Every time he kissed her cheek, every time he told the children good night, Evelyn's fury grew. How could he lie so easily? How could he carry on as if nothing were wrong? One evening, as Daniel slipped his phone into his jacket pocket, Evelyn's voice cut through the silence. Time 800 meters. Who's Vanessa? Daniel froze. His hand lingered near his jacket, his face caught between confusion and fear. What are you talking about? He muttered. Evelyn's eyes didn't leave his. Don't lie to me. I've seen the messages. The color drained from his face. For a moment, the confident, polished Daniel Whitmore disappeared, replaced by a man cornered. He tried to laugh it off, to brush it aside. It's not what you think. She's just a friend, a client. It's harmless. But Evelyn had already prepared herself for his lies. Her voice was calm, steady, almost unnervingly so. Don't insult me with excuses. I know what you've been doing. And I promise you, Daniel, it's over. Daniel's mask cracked. His voice sharpened, defensive now. Fine. Yes, I've been seeing her, but it doesn't mean anything. You're overreacting. Don't throw away 15 years over this. Evelyn's heart twisted, but her resolve only hardened. She whispered the words that would echo in his mind for years. You threw it away the moment you touched her. For weeks after, the house became a battleground of silence. Daniel tried to apologize, to charm, to promise change, but his words were hollow. He still slipped away, still carried the weight of his betrayal in every move he made. Evelyn no longer cried into her pillow. She no longer begged for answers. Instead, she plotted. If Daniel wanted war, she would give him one, but she would fight it on her terms. Planning. Evelyn began quietly gathering evidence. Every receipt, every message, every unexplained charge. She documented his lies with the precision of a detective. She reached out to a discreet private investigator, an old acquaintance who owed her a favor. Within weeks, she had photos, call logs, and witness accounts. Daniel had been reckless. Too reckless, and his arrogance would be his downfall. Late one night, while Daniel slept soundly beside her, Evelyn whispered to the dark, "You think you've won, Daniel. But soon, you'll learn what betrayal costs." Her path was clear now: divorce court, custody battle, financial reckoning, and she would not stop until justice, no, karma itself, had been served. The day of reckoning arrived with the chill of winter. Evelyn walked into the courthouse wearing a navy suit, her hair pinned neatly, her expression calm but unreadable. She looked every bit the picture of composure. But beneath that still surface, a storm raged. Daniel stood on the opposite side of the courtroom, his arm draped around his high-powered attorney. He looked confident, even smug. To him, this was just another negotiation. A business deal he would win. He didn't yet realize the trap he had walked into. Court opens. The judge entered, his robe flowing as the bailiff announced his presence. The courtroom fell silent. Papers shuffled. Attorneys straightened. Evelyn's lawyer, a sharp-eyed woman named Marissa, Cole, stood tall at her side. Marissa had a reputation for cutting through lies with surgical precision. Daniel's attorney spoke first. He painted Daniel as the hard-working husband, the loyal provider, the man who had sacrificed everything for his family. He claimed Evelyn was unstable, emotional, prone to exaggeration. Daniel even had the audacity to nod along, as if his betrayal had never happened. Evelyn's strength. But when it was Evelyn's turn, the atmosphere shifted. Marissa rose, her voice calm, deliberate. "Your Honor, the evidence will show that Mr. Whitmore was not the devoted husband he claims to be. In fact, he betrayed his vows repeatedly, with reckless disregard for his wife and children." A murmur rippled through the courtroom. Evelyn's heart pounded as Marissa presented the photographs. Daniel with Vanessa, hand in hand at restaurants. Daniel checking into hotels he had never mentioned. Dozens of text messages, explicit and undeniable. Daniel's smug smile faltered. His hand twitched at the table. For the first time, he looked uncertain. Evelyn testifies. When Evelyn took the stand, her voice was steady. She spoke of the late nights, the lies, the loneliness of sharing a bed with a man whose heart belonged elsewhere. She did not cry. She did not falter. "Duty want twosims." Her strength silenced the room. Even the judge leaned forward, listening intently. Daniel's attorney tried to rattle her. "Mrs. Whitmore, isn't it true that you are simply bitter? That you want revenge?" Evelyn met his gaze, unblinking. "I want the truth. And I want my children to grow up in a home where lies don't rule." The dinner table. Then came Daniel's turn on the stand. He adjusted his tie, cleared his throat, and launched into a rehearsed speech about his dedication to family. But under Marissa's questioning, the cracks appeared. "Mr. Whitmore," she asked, "if you were working late, why does this receipt show you at Le Jardin with a Ms. Vanessa Moore?" Daniel stammered, It was business." Marissa's brow arched. "Business that involved checking into a hotel afterwards?" The courtroom buzzed with whispers. Daniel's face flushed red. He looked to his attorney, but there was no escape. Evelyn's silent victory. From her seat, Evelyn watched quietly. She didn't smile, she didn't gloat. She only thought of her children, of the nights she had cried alone, of the betrayal that had nearly destroyed her. Time thousand matters, and she knew. This was only the beginning. Weeks stretched into months, and the divorce trial became a battlefield. What began as a fight over betrayal soon expanded into money, property, and the most painful of all, custody of Grace and Michael. To Evelyn, her children were her heart. To Daniel, they were leverage. Daniel's attorney argued fiercely. He painted Evelyn as controlling, cold, incapable of providing the same stability Daniel could. He boasted of Daniel's income, his home, his ability to give the children a better life. Daniel nodded along, smug once again, convinced money would buy him everything. He underestimated the woman who knew him best. When Evelyn took the stand in the custody hearing, she spoke not with anger, but with truth. "Your Honor, I am not perfect, but I am present. I am here every morning, every night. I help with homework. I wipe away tears. I celebrate victories and hold them through failures." Her voice wavered only slightly. Their father may provide material comfort, but a child's heart needs more than a bank account. Neighbors and teachers testified. Grace's piano teacher, Michael's soccer coach, each spoke of Evelyn's constant presence, her devotion. Each glance toward Daniel revealed a father who had been absent too often, too long. Then Marissa revealed the ace Evelyn had kept hidden. The private investigator's recordings. Videos of Daniel neglecting the children to spend time with Vanessa. Phone logs showing missed school events, unanswered emergencies, and hours lost in hotel rooms. The courtroom gasped. Daniel's face turned ashen. He tried to object, to twist the story, but the evidence was irrefutable. But Evelyn wasn't finished. She had quietly uncovered something else. Daniel's secret bank account, transfers of company funds, lavish gifts for Vanessa, hidden money that he never disclosed in court. With calm precision, Marissa presented the documents. The judge's eyes narrowed. Daniel's credibility crumbled with each page turned. The courtroom buzzed with tension. Whispers filled the air. Daniel shifted uncomfortably, sweat collecting on his brow. For years he had believed he was untouchable. But in this moment, surrounded by evidence of his lies, he looked small, diminished. Evelyn sat still, her hands folded neatly in her lap. She didn't smile, though inside her heart surged with a mixture of relief and sorrow. She hadn't come for vengeance alone. She had come for justice. And slowly, piece by piece, Daniel's empire of lies was collapsing. The judge leaned forward, his voice stern. "Mr. Whitmore, the court is deeply concerned about your conduct. Not only your infidelity, but your lack of honesty in financial disclosure, and your neglect as a father. This court does not take betrayal lightly, especially when children are involved." Daniel's jaw clenched, his eyes darting toward Evelyn. He saw now that the woman he once underestimated was dismantling him piece by piece. Outside the courthouse that evening, Evelyn stood beneath the gray sky. The wind tugged at her coat as cameras flashed, reporters shouting questions. She said nothing. But as Daniel stormed past her, his face twisted with rage, she whispered under her breath, unheard by anyone but herself, "This is only the beginning. Karma isn't finished with you yet." As the trial neared its end, Daniel grew desperate. The man who once strutted into the courtroom with confidence now paced nervously in the hallway. His empire was cracking, his finances exposed, his affair undeniable, his reputation in shambles. Yet still he clung to the belief that money and charm could save him. One morning, Daniel's attorney requested a private settlement. He offered Evelyn half of everything, half the property, half the accounts, if she would back down on custody. Daniel leaned forward, his voice low, sharp. "Take the deal, Evelyn. Don't drag this through the mud any longer. You'll get money. You'll be comfortable. That's all you ever wanted, isn't it?" Evelyn's gaze was steady, her voice calm. "You still don't understand. This was never about money. It's about the truth, and about making sure our children know what kind of man their father really is." Daniel's jaw tightened. His charm was useless here, his threats meaningless. Back in the courtroom, Daniel tried one final tactic. He smeared Evelyn's name, claiming she was manipulative, vindictive, a woman scorned. He waved documents, twisted words, painted himself as the victim. But the more he spoke, the more hollow his words sounded. The judge's eyes grew colder with every outburst. "Easy." Evelyn's final blow. Then came Evelyn's final move. Marissa presented a recording, a voicemail Daniel had left for Vanessa in a drunken rage, his voice slurred, bitter, venomous. "I don't care about Evelyn. I don't care about those kids. Let her have them. They're nothing but dead weight. You're all I need." The words hung in the air like poison. Evelyn closed her eyes, the ache in her chest sharp but necessary. The courtroom was silent, except for the sound of Daniel's world collapsing. The judge's gavel struck once, sharp and final. His voice carried the weight of justice. In light of the evidence, this court grants Mrs. Whitmore primary custody of the children. Furthermore, due to Mr. Whitmore's repeated dishonesty and financial disclosures, the court awards the marital estate overwhelmingly in Mrs. Whitmore's favor. Gasps filled the courtroom. Daniel's attorney slumped into his chair. Daniel himself sat frozen, his mouth opening and closing with no words to follow. The once proud executive, the man who believed he was untouchable, had been stripped bare before everyone. His fortune diminished, his children placed in Evelyn's care, his mistress exposed, his lies catalogued in the court record forever. He was no longer the powerful Daniel Whitmore. He was simply a man undone by his own betrayal. Evelyn did not smile as the verdict was read. She didn't gloat. Instead, she breathed deeply for the first time in months. Justice had been served, but justice alone wasn't enough. Karma, she knew, still had its part to play. The trial was over. The papers were signed. Daniel walked out of the courthouse a man stripped of everything he thought made him powerful. His reputation tarnished, his fortune diminished, his children in Evelyn's care. But karma was not finished with him yet. Daniel's fall. In the months that followed, Daniel's world unraveled. Vanessa, the woman he had sacrificed his family for, vanished the moment the money dried up. She blocked his calls, disappeared from his life, leaving him with nothing but empty promises. At work, whispers spread like wildfire. The board discovered the secret accounts, the reckless spending, the lies. Daniel was forced to resign in shame. The man who once commanded boardrooms now struggled to find anyone willing to shake his hand. His luxury Mercedes was sold to pay debts. His once proud home stood silent, its windows dark. Daniel moved into a cramped apartment on the edge of the city. Nights stretched long and lonely, broken only by the buzzing of a phone that rarely rang. He sat in the dark, staring at old photographs, haunted by the life he had destroyed with his own hands. Evelyn, meanwhile, rebuilt quietly. She poured her energy into her children, into creating a home filled with warmth and stability. She found strength in her work, in friendships she had once neglected, in the freedom of a life lived without lies. She did not celebrate Daniel's fall. She did not need to. Karma had delivered justice on her behalf. One afternoon, months later, Evelyn sat in her garden watching Grace and Michael play. The sun was warm, laughter filled the air, and for the first time in years she felt at peace. Betrayal had nearly broken her, but justice had rebuilt her, and in the end, karma had found its way, as it always does. Closing line. This was the story of Daniel Whitmore, a man undone not by chance but by his own choices, and a woman who turned betrayal into justice.
And so, the vows that were once sacred lay broken forever, but in the end, justice found its way. Betrayal was punished, and karma delivered its final blow. If this story gripped your heart, don't forget to subscribe for more tales of love, lies, and the vengeance of fate. This was Broken Vows Chronicles, where every ending is unforgettable.